Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to another Mechanic Matt. This time I'm a mobile mechanic in Cornwall. This time I'm working on a coil spring. This guy that owns this car has changed the speed sensor because of a faulty ABS signal and noticed the coil spring's broke, so he's asked if I could change the coil spring. Now, what I'm going to do, it doesn't look too bad. I'll take the wheel off and we'll get a better look at it. But I've got an ABS sensor as well, and I'll show you what I think's happened to that, why it only lasted about a week for him. Once I've got the wheel off, I'll show you what was going on there. So here's the broken coil spring up here. It's not sitting in the thing properly because the bottom of the coil's gone. So what I'm going to do, in fact the bottom piece must have fallen out. It's not there at all now. And this, I'll show you what I think's happened here. It's unplugged now because I was testing it. So behind here, the wire goes in there. Right, I was just checking on this before so I could get the parts, but this isn't how I found it. That's the way now that we see it. That's how it should be. Like this wire goes up and loops down from the top, but it was the other way. I'll just show you the way it was. I pull that out, the wire was that way in there. So the wire came from the bottom, and I think when this is down and the wheels are turning, I think it just pulled on the wire a little bit because it has to go over the top. So when this is back in place here, obviously when the wheel's on the ground, that sits at a different place and lifts it up. This is higher then, so it gets compressed. That spring gets compressed up there, so it's pulling on the wire. That's why the wire, instead of going in that way as we see it now, goes in that way, because when the suspension's on the floor, that doesn't pull on this wire too hard. I'm hoping that's all it is. I've got a new one. I checked it with it plugged in, and I back probe on here. When the sensor's in, I've got near battery voltage and near ground. And if I've got both of them, usually it's pretty much the wires are okay. It just leaves the sensor. And if I rotate the wheel, it's in gear now. If I rotate the wheel and look at the voltage on here, it should drop about half a volt up and down, and this one didn't. If it did drop up and down about half a volt as you slowly rotate the wheel, you'd know that the bearing's okay, and if there was one part of that doesn't drop up and down, you'd know the bearing's bad in one little piece. But this didn't do anything at all the way around, so I'm guessing we'll put a sensor on and it'll be okay. Not sure what make this one is, but it's clearly a brand new one. But that's what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to change that. And another thing I've noticed, if there's half a volt on the ground wire, then that's the one that switches between half a volt and 1 volt roughly, and the one that's near battery voltage stays the same. But if the ground wire is 0 volts, it's the battery side that switches up and down that half volt, if that makes sense. So what I'll do, I'll change it all out and then show you what I mean. But this one, I've got the 2 bolts here, the 2 nuts and bolts, there and there. They have to come out to get the bottom of the shocker off. I'll undo the drop link, and there's a few things to take off at the top. Gonna have to remove the wiper arm and some of this stuff to get to the top bolts for the strut. What I'm going to do here is take off these bolts, but the caliper's in the way, so I'm going to take the caliper out of the way first and show you how I do that. It'll let me get onto these bolts better. Got the vice grips on the caliper here. If we grip it, it's actually a little corroded, but I can screw that enough. And we can take these 13mm bolts out, top and bottom. There's one down here, and then get this right out. Won't take that long. If you have a ratchet battery ratchet would be a lot quicker, but this will do it. Just take these out, get this out of the way. Okay. Of course it's starting to rain again now that I've started, but it's not cold though, so I'll carry on. There's one. Now the bottom one. Same thing again. That's tight. So what I'm going to do is double up the spanners. I take this end of this spanner and put it onto that and give me more leverage. So it's tight. That came off really easy then. So there we go. Now I'm going to hold this with vice grips like at the top. And take it off. It's kind of the same as before. Once it's cracked loose, it's easy. Now, when you take these off, like that, you better not letting it hang on the flexi. So I'm just going to let it hang on the drive shaft and the wishbone for now, right there. But at least I can get to these nuts, right, on this side. So one side's, I think it's 18. Yeah, I think both 18. Just try 17 to be sure. Yeah, 17 doesn't go on. So I'm going to get an 18 spanner on this side because that nut's trapped in this little brace here. So it's supposed to stop the nut from turning. So we'll have to undo these sides. And then we've got this one to take off the drop link there. So my first thing is getting an 18 spanner. There's one. Close that up to stop it from being in it. 18 spanner on one side and socket on the other. There we go, there's one out. So much quicker with that. Put that one there. And this one here. Okay. Right. So now I might have to push this down and move it about to get that out. Likely it'll come up when I take this out, but before I do, just slide this plastic bit off there. That's holding the wire, the ABS wire. I'm going to clean up the crap that's on the threads and soak it in WD, and hopefully that'll just spin off there. Otherwise I'll have to hold it with vice grips at the back. It looks like it's just all going to turn, so we're going to have to hold that one with vice grips. So I'll turn the wheel, might have to turn the wheel to get onto there. If I need a drop link, I'll just get a drop link. If I need to replace it, I don't think I'm on it properly there. I think I'm just crushing the boot. Let's try it. Well, I got it. Didn't take much. Just lightly gripping it. Stopped it from spinning. Now I can get the drop link out. Now it's going to be under a lot of pressure on this side because I haven't jacked the other side of the car up. If I go round, you see this drop link? This anti-roll bar, because the other wheel's on the ground, that's under a lot of tension. So what I'm going to do is put a jack under the other side of the car. Even though I don't need to go under the other side of the car, it'll take the tension off this. Other than that, I could put a lever in, something like a proper lever that I don't have here right now, and lever it like my hand's doing. That would pull it down enough to just take it out. So, let me get that set up and I'll come back to you. It is a lever you use and you just put it in there on the anti-roll bar or the sway bar if you prefer. That's still good. That's got no play in it, and the bottom one's still good, so we don't need a drop link. I know a lot of people buy them and then just return them if they don't use it. In this case, I don't need to. So that's out of there. Now I've got to take this bolt out of here. I'll wind that out a bit. Got a strong socket now. That's the 18 again. What I can do is put the open end behind here and pull it out. Because it's not actually threaded in, you see. The nuts are off it, so there we go. Another thing to watch out for that's happened to me a few times, get to this stage and the drive shaft can be pulled out of the gearbox and you get gearbox oil everywhere. So you have to be sure that you don't allow that to happen. This one's okay because I've stopped it moving. So, okay, now I've just got to undo the stuff at the top. That's it though, all the bottom's undone. So this is how we do the drive shaft, and the ABS sensor's pretty easy. I'll show you that as well. Maybe get the power probe and show you how I checked it as well, in case you want to know that. So next we're up here, I think that's a 16. Let's get that beast up there. Yeah, 16. And off it goes. Sometimes you need a pillar to get these off. I'll put the nut down there with the other stuff. Sometimes you need a pillar to get these off. Sometimes you can just wiggle it like that, and it's broke the rust here, the corrosion, and it comes right off. That might be enough. I got some tins to take out of here. What else do I have to take out? Actually, that might be enough. That might be enough. Because there's the nut at the top, if you see that. See the wiper linkage there? At 21, I've just got to take that off. Which might be awkward through here, but maybe I've got to move the wiper linkage. But yeah, that's all I got to take off, and it looks rusty, so I'm definitely going to wire brush that and spray it with WD-40 again. So it looks pretty bad. Let's get that cleaned up. What I might be able to do is just disconnect the linkage there. I could put that through there. And try and get this plastic bit out the way without it snapping there. Might just be able to disconnect this linkage and put it back on when I'm done. So, let's see. Spanner in there. There we go. I just used the open end of that and this wiper linkage to get the ball off the there. Just put it in like that. And you can do that same technique on gear cables when you're doing a clutch and you've got the gear lever cables. You can do the same technique. So now that's going to be easier to get my air gun in there, although it's battery impact range. So I'll spray that up. Sometimes when it's as bad as that, I'll clean it and then spray it and then clean it again to try and get the WD in the threads. And then once I cleaned it again, I might even spray it just to help clean some of the loose stuff off. So let's try that and see if it actually comes out. Sprayed it, that's probably going to be about 21. I got a 21. Yeah, I do. I gotta move this out the way now. This one. Yeah, that'll do it there. So, let's see if that comes off. Oh, that's pinged off there. Let's see if I can get this nut off. And what I do is hold the strut. That's come out of there. Sometimes, so I hold the strut with one hand and pull it off with the other. And then we've got to take this inner one off, but we don't do that until it's in a clamp. Here's the bottom bit that's missing. Yeah, we don't take the inner one off until it's in a spring clamp, so I'll get that set up and show you what I'm doing there. Here we are with the strut. I've painted it so I can roughly line it up where it was. Right? I got this kit down here that I'm going to use to tighten it. Usually it's these ones, fits pretty much everything, but yeah, that's going to fit there and there. The trouble is, some of the coils are different sizes, so I might be better sometimes using one of the smaller ones, because that's only on 3 coils there, so I don't know how much that's going to compress it, if it's going to be enough. I don't know if I go to this side, well there I could just about get 4 coils, you see. So if I compress 4, I should have a better chance of it coming off. So there's one, and there's one. If that fits, yeah. So we'll go for the side with the 4 coils. The other side's only got 3 because of how it is. And now I just got to build this up. Okay, now I got this on there. I had to go for the side with 3 coils. It wouldn't fit in the other side. It was getting tangled up. So sometimes you have to let the pressure off enough to stop the inner rod in the shock absorber from spinning. So this way, we're okay there. So we've already got it loose. And because I painted it, I know where it's all going to end up going eventually. So now I can take this off. I'm going to reuse this. The bearing's still okay, so we don't need one of those. So got the new spring in the car. See how rusty this is. Problem being mobile. I said it before that things go rusty, and if you don't keep on top of it, you can have accidents. And I've had a coil spring accident, so I think for the time it takes being off work, it's cheaper to just buy a new one if in doubt. So I might, if this doesn't clean up and free off, I might just replace it. But now we can take this clamp off this spring and put the new spring on. I've also got this rubber on the bottom coil that's a bit of a damper between the metal and the metal here, the metal spring going on to the metal shock absorber. So using this, it'll dampen it down a bit and make it quieter, so we have to change that onto the new spring. There we go. That's out of the way. So I'll go and get the new spring and put it on. Now I'm going to put this back on, just the reverse of before, so this nut will go on the top, like that. It goes through the wheel arch, like that. And that goes up here. Now I just gotta get it started. There we go. So I can gun that down, and that'll hold it. Okay, that's tight. You check it when it's on the ground. However, we will need to put this back on here, and that's just done by placing it on top. And if you can't push it with your hand, you can just take some pliers, open them up a bit, and that should, yeah, I've opened it too much, that should go back on there then, like that. I think that's it. I think that's it on. Yeah, just locks on like that. I can get the wipers on, and all this stuff on here, put the wipers on, and then that was just those 2 bolts. But I'm going to show you the ABS, how I checked it, or how I check it. It's just trying to figure out which way this went. Okay, I got the top on, all built up. Now you got these 2 bolts in here. This is the bit I was saying about before, that the nuts don't actually rotate, but if you force them enough it will open this up. But they're supposed to just stay like that, so I'm going to hammer these through just a bit more so that I can start these nuts off. And then I've got the drop link to go in, and yeah, right about there then I'll show you the ABS. I'll change that out. So that's it built up. What I'm going to do now is check the ABS sensor and see if it's working. Hopefully it is, because I put the new one on. So I'm connecting this little probe here to power and ground. And the first thing I like to do is turn the sound off. Right, and then I've got these two wires here. You can look. These two wires right here. So one of them's battery voltage, or almost battery voltage. So what we at? Oh no, that's the ground, 0.4. And this one will be the battery voltage. No, let's see, 11.1, but the battery voltage is 12.1, so it's not quite battery voltage. If I go back into this one, because it's not at 0, usually that means that's the switching side. So if I rotate this, it goes from 1 to 0.4, 1 to 0.8, and I'm very slowly turning the brake rotor. See that? This way you could also tell if there's a bad bit in there, but that's all it was. The customer had fitted his own sensor, but here, instead of this going this way, like looping over the top, it was going under the bottom, which I get that. I would have thought it looks like it's meant to go that way myself, but it isn't. So next, we put this on over here, like that, and that hooks on here, like that. And when the suspension's up, it actually lifts, this lot comes up higher. When the car's on the floor, this will all come up. And I think going the other way must just pull on the wire enough that it doesn't work. But anyway, we're all on. Hopefully it lasts longer than a week, because that's what the last one took. And we could also check on here, fault codes. Don't know if you can see with the glare. If I go into the history, there it is. There we go. With all this rain on here. Okay, so we're going to diagnosis, control unit, and then ABS. I'm not doing a full scan because it's only in for a coil spring, and oh, by the way, the engine light's on, so I'm doing the engine light. So look at the trouble codes. Faulty signal, left of wheel, front speed, open circuit, short to ground. That's intermittent now because it's actually working, so I'll erase the fault code, and I gotta turn it off for 10 seconds. Haven't done it, but I'll just say I have, and see what happens, and escape that. Live data, this is the front left, so I'll see if I spin it. Dynamic information, what's going on there if I spin it? So left, front, that one. Let's make that a bit bigger. If we do it as a graph, make it bigger. If I rotate that, does it get a signal? Yeah, there it is. Thought it wasn't getting it then for a minute. It's hard when you're trying to keep a steady speed just on a brake disc, but there we go. It's working. Didn't do anything before, so I'm happy with that. That is me done for today. So just a little job today, mobile mechanic work, ABS sensor as well, and testing it, and hopefully it's helpful to somebody, ways of testing an ABS sensor, and how to do a coil spring. Thanks for watching.